Good morning. If we can call the Economic Development Authority meeting to order for Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. Start with roll call.
Yes, sir. Director Ainello?
Here.
Director Joyce? Here. Director Derby?
Here.
Director Meeks? Here. Director Almus? Here. Vice Chair Fye? Not here. Chairman Booth?
Here. Thank you. We do have two amendments, I guess, that showed up on the agenda today. And one is for the election of our officers. We had inadvertently left that off as an agenda item. The second item is item C under new business, Stark Peninsula MOU. In order to take those up, would like a motion for approval for an amended agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second for that?
Second. Director Ainello?
Yay.
Director Joyce?
Yay.
Director Derby?
Yes.
Director Meeks?
Yes.
Director Almus?
Yay.
Chairman Booth?
Yes. Thank you. First item is our consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes from February 4th, 2025, our regular meeting, and the treasurer's report, March of 2025. Is there any discussion needed for the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval? Motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. If we can have a vote, please.
Ainello?
Yes.
Director Joyce?
Yes.
Director Derby?
Yes.
Director Meeks?
Yes.
Director Almus?
Yes.
Chairman Booth?
Yes. Thank you. Public comment, first item on our agenda. At this point, I don't see anyone present for that, which will move us to the election of our officers. First order of business, we need to fill the secretary role. Christy has graciously worked with us for the past couple of months now, and need a nomination for Christy to continue.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. You're stuck with us for a little bit longer.
That's fine.
At this point, I would like to turn it over to you, if you could, in trying to administer the balance of the elections.
All right. We also have the opening for the chairman. Should Chairman Booth, would you like to be considered to continue as the chairman?
I would be happy to continue.
All right. Do we have a motion on that?
I make a motion to nominate.
And do I have a vote for that? Do I? Okay. Director Ainello?
Yes.
Director Joyce?
Yes.
Director Derby?
Yes.
Director Meeks?
Yes.
Director Almus?
Yes.
And Chairman Booth?
Abstain.
All right. And the motion carried by a vote of 5-0.
We have two other positions. Vice Chair currently being served by Kathy Fye, and Treasurer currently being served by Kara. Kathy's not here to offer any input, but Kara, are you interested in continuing?
I can do that.
Anyone else interested in any of those roles at this point? Do we have a motion for, like, take those up as joint unless there's some reason to separate that?
So moved.
Have a motion for Kathy Fye to remain as vice chair and Kara to remain as treasurer. Is there a second to that?
Second.
If we can have a vote for that, please.
Director Ainello?
Yes.
Director Joyce? Director Derby?
Yes.
Director Meeks?
Yes.
Director Almus?
Yes.
And Chairman Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, not Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, the motion carried by a vote of 5-0, one abstention.
Thank you. That moves us to our new business, which we have the opportunity of the mayor to join us this morning. So perfect introduction there. Mayor Hux, thank you for joining us this morning, and the floor is yours.
And Mayor, I apologize, there's no microphone, so we want to hear you. If I could get you. We're a little less casual here at the EDA.
How's that?
Perfect.
Well, good morning. Chairman Booth, Director Derby, Director Meets, Director Yanello, Director Almus, Director Joyce, Assistant City Manager Tanya O'Connell, and our City Clerk, Miss Christy Snap. It's my pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you for having me. I'd like to share some thoughts with y'all about what we've been doing as a council this year. At the beginning of last calendar year, the city manager and I started working together planning for this year, not knowing what the outcome of the election would be. Fortunately, it worked out like it did, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. After the election, the efforts between the manager and I intensified, and then again after the first of the year, we spent countless hours in his conference room trying to hash out details and make it easier for the council and the rest of city staff to do their jobs. The first thing we did as a council this year on January 4th was to have our first ever strategic planning retreat. That was held at the middle school, and I'm going to share some of the fruits of the labor that was put forth that day. But we did that prior to our first council meeting, just to lay the groundwork and learn how to work as a team, since this is a new council and a new term. And we work very closely with each other. We have great working relationships. We work very closely with our exceptional staff. And once those decisions are made, policies are set, it's the council's practice to stay out of the way and let the staff do what they know how to do. And that arrangement works out pretty well. But with that being said, I'll read our mission vision statement. And this is based on the input of all the council members, with some input from staff as well. Because we don't have a monopoly on great ideas. We don't make decisions in vacuums. We like to get input from everybody and put forth a collaborative effort. Poquoson is a distinctive and cherished community. Through thoughtful actions, strategic investments, and meaningful initiatives, we are committed to building upon the city's strengths, ensuring its long-term sustainability, and preserving its unique character. Our goal is to maintain and enhance Poquoson as one of Virginia's exceptional places to live, work, and thrive. And before I move on to the next topic, I'd like to elaborate on that just a little bit. When it comes to strategic initiatives, we saw an example of that this past Saturday when we had the grand opening of our new public safety building. And that's very similar to our previous major project, which was the modernization of the middle school. And these are projects that take many years to come to fruition. And I commented on how the public safety building came about. Going back to 2019, council was able to set aside $50,000 for a feasibility study. And we applied lessons learned from the middle school. I was fortunate enough to be a school board member back in 2013 when that process started, and the first step was a feasibility study, and that worked out quite well. We imitated that process in 2019 with the public safety building. We set aside the $50,000 for a feasibility study that staff executed for us. That study sat on a shelf for about 3 years and collected dust. We had no idea what the future may hold, but we wanted to at least take the first step, not knowing what the second step would look like. That was not an easy thing for us to do in 2019 because the previous year we had just borrowed $23 million, $20 million for the middle school and another $3 million to take care of capital improvement projects within the city. But in 2019, nobody could have foreseen the COVID pandemic. And fast forward to the year 2022, it came to the city's attention that we would be on the receiving end of $12 million in ARPA funding, or in layman terms, COVID money. Staff reviewed the guidelines, and we were thrilled to know that a public safety building was well within the guidelines of what that money could be used for. But it had a very stringent time frame on which that money had to be employed. And this is the point I wanted to make. Had we not have done that feasibility study, had the EDA not already been in possession of the property that that building sits on, it would not be here today. So just let that sink in for a minute. That feasibility study and the fact that the EDA owned the property, and the grace of God, of course, are the reasons that building's there. If we had not have had the feasibility study, we couldn't have reacted quickly enough, and the building would not be there. And another point I'd like to make, that's a $12 million generational facility, state-of-the-art, purpose-built, that is leaps and bounds ahead of what our police department and fire administration has been making do with for many years. But the citizens of Poquoson are getting the benefit of that $12 million facility for the price of $3 million, because $9 million of it was paid for by ARPA funds, non-local funding. So we're very thankful that could come to fruition. When we talk about ensuring the long-term sustainability, that means the physical sustainability, from when it comes to things like drainage, keeping the ditches clean, things like that, to ensure that physically Poquoson is sustainable, but also from a fiscal standpoint. We strive daily to maintain our AAA bond rating, and so many people, and I wouldn't know if I wasn't involved with public service, but that AAA bond rating is akin to our own personal credit ratings, and it is critical to our success. The manager has told me that he was advised when we started pursuing that for a small bedroom community such as ourselves, a AAA bond rating would be impossible to gain. So it seems as though we did the impossible, and we intend to maintain it first and foremost. That is the holy grail of our fiscal stability, is that AAA bond rating. It is exceedingly rare to the point of being even unique. So we're very fortunate. Benefits of that, and we've seen it again when we went out to borrow the money for the HVAC project at the high school. We had no less than 6 lending institutions competing for our business. We were able to get an interest rate 3/4 of a point less than what we had planned for. So the citizens, the taxpayers, benefit tremendously from that AAA bond rating. That's not the first time that that's happened. When we borrowed money for, I think, the ladder truck, same thing. We had 6 lending institutions competing for our business. So we're very thankful for that. One thing that would help us tremendously, if we could get another grocery store. So that's a specific. I know Ms. Almas has some ideas on that, so we're very interested in seeing how that works out, since we have an empty space. I mean, I remember back in 1980 when that area was all woods. I remember when it was cleared, when the original Farm Fresh was built. History tells us that we've been able to support 2 grocery stores. So if the past is the best predictor of the future, I'm confident we can do that again, especially with the increasing population. And that brings me to my next point. As we know, we're limited to what we can do with the expansion of our business tax base. So, I've stated before that I feel that the schools are the engine that drives the city forward, and the fuel for the school system is students. We've had a decreasing enrollment for many years, and we're just starting to turn the tide and make that up a little bit. The Weldon Cooper Center projects an additional 350 students over the next few years. The school superintendent has told us as recently as last Monday of last week at the council meeting, Each student receives about $7,000 to $7,400 in state and even a little bit of federal tax revenue. So do the math on that. If we can get those 350 students back times $7,000, $7,400 apiece, that's a huge influx of funding coming into our school system. But even if we can do that, we are nowhere near capacity. And if I remember correctly, from my days on the school board, I think it was the year 2015 or 16, my last year on the school board, going back to 2006, we had a peak enrollment of about 2,632 students. So even if we can get those 350 as per the projections, we're still well below physical capacity. Now we'll need more staff, but we're working on that as well. And from there, I'll transition to our mission, and I can elaborate a little bit more on that as well. Building on and maintaining Poquoson's strong financial foundation, the City Council and staff will collaborate to deliver exceptional public schools, public safety, and effective government services. We are dedicated to making purposeful investments in our community's quality of life while fostering complementary, balanced growth and development. That balanced growth and development, that's something we strive for daily. It's a delicate dance that we do, trying to maintain that balance between purposeful growth and development. But as we know, anything in the natural world that does not grow and develop stagnates and dies. And we're not into stagnating. So we have to grow. The key to it is having the well-planned, well-managed growth and development to suit our needs. And that comes in the form of what we're seeing right now with new neighborhoods coming in. We need families. We need families with students. Some things we can't control, like changes in society. Decades past and generations past, families were much larger. Today, families being much smaller with 1 to 2 children instead of 3 to 4 or 5 or 6, or as my wife's grandparents, 12 on one side of the family, 6 on the other side of the family, all living in one house. Not like that anymore, so we need more families to get the same number of students. And we have to have somewhere for them to live. And we can see the results of that around town. When it comes to delivering exceptional public schools, it's common knowledge that we have that symbiotic, mutualistic relationship between the schools and the city. The health and well-being of the city and the schools are directly proportionate to each other. But we have to maintain the schools. That and public safety and well-being are the 2 main reasons that I know of that people choose to live in Poquoson. The public safety building, that's another example of what we're doing to support that. We're very thankful to be able to initiate the school resource officer program back in 2018, and then we expanded that again to all 4 schools, I believe, in 2022. So those are just some examples of what we're doing. Sidewalks, that's actually in the works. That project has come and gone many times over the years, but it's actually got some traction now. We had set aside $350,000, I think mid-year, if I remember correctly, Tanya. Yeah, she's shaking her head, so she's more attuned to these facts than I am, but I do the best I can to keep everything straight. The intention of that money was to cover the initial stages, and that's currently underway with the detailed right-of-way survey on Little Florida Road between CVS and Galen. The thinking being is we're not in a position to where we can build sidewalks the full length of Little Florida Road or the full length of Yorktown Road or anything like that. I mean, you'd be talking about 10 plus millions of dollars. Now, I'm picking a number that hopefully is somewhat close. But what we want to do with building short sections such as on Little Florida from the CVS to Galen. We'll have a sidewalk from the main corridor on With Creek to a neighborhood down Galen, Galen to Gmar, Gmar to Odd to the high school to Municipal Park, to Cedar Road, picking up the sidewalks on Poquoson Avenue. That'll take us all the way down the road to Trinity. So that's the idea right now. On Poquoson Avenue, we're doing the survey from Cedar Road up to the intersection of With Creek and Yorktown to try to get us back to Cedar. But that'll come after Little Florida Road. That's the thinking right now. But hopefully we'll have some results back as recently as later this month on Little Florida Road, and then we'll be able to make the next decisions for the next steps with that project. Quality of life in the small town environment, that's always a big deal. The sidewalks go towards that. The purchase and establishment, development of Two Tree Park, that's another example. I hear comments frequently about the city purchasing land to preserve green space, and that's a good example of that. That idea came from a former Mayor Gordon Helsel and City Manager Mr. Randy Wheeler and staff. That's coming along nicely. We got the addition of the new Rainbow Bridge. That's an Eagle Scout project. Hopefully we're pretty close to beginning the construction of the living shoreline down at Amory's Wharf, and what we want to do as a follow-up to that is pursue a historic landmark designation. Anybody familiar with the history of Poquoson would know that Amory's Wharf had a post office at one time. I mean, Mr. Derby probably remembers this as well. It was actually called the Ernest Post Office. I understand it was actually on the wharf, which was a point of shipping when steamboats were still running up and down the bay. And Ernest was the name of the son of the postmaster at the time. So we think we have a good chance of establishing Amory's Wharf as a historic landmark, and hopefully that'll attract some visitors down there as well. Of course, effective government services, I think it speaks for itself. We hear all kinds of compliments on the great things that the staff at the counter does and throughout the community, serving our citizens. Strategic initiatives. Conduct a careful review of the city's comprehensive plan and supporting ordinances, prioritizing the north side of Victory Boulevard, followed by an evaluation of the city's central business district. What we intend to do right now, as you know, we are focused on the budget and been putting a lot of time and effort into the conditional use permit for the proposed indoor shooting range with some great support from the Planning Commission. So that's been pretty much all consuming with what we've been doing, trying to fit other things in on the side as we go. Once we get through the budget in May, we intend to turn our attention to the north side of Victory Boulevard and look at that from a comprehensive perspective and develop a plan moving forward so that area is not piecemealed. But there'll be more to come on that. Number 2, launch the planning process for development of a new community and/or recreation center. That's another topic that's come and gone multiple times over the years, but I'm confident it's going to get some traction this time. And I just want to emphasize those words, launch the planning process. We're not in a position for the foreseeable future to be able to spend money on building, but it all starts with the planning. And what that would look like will be part of that, whether it be a community center, recreation center, but we'll need to do some studying to determine what the public desires and what we think we can afford. But for the purpose of this term, over the next 4 years, the goal is to launch the planning process. Number 3, under strategic initiatives, commit to enhancing public employee compensation through targeted efforts in the annual budget process. We're focused on that right now. From a facility standpoint, all things considered on the city side and the school side, we're in pretty good shape. The outlier there is compensation for our employees and for school employees, and we're either at or near the bottom of the pay scale in the region. We consider that to be unacceptable, considering the professionalism of the staff that we have on the city side and the school side. We took some steps last year when we were able to provide a 5%, or help to provide a 5% for the schools and a 4+1 for the city side. We've also done our public safety compensation study. We've already implemented parts of that. More to come on that this year. That is certainly a priority. This year being a reassessment year, we do have some extra funds as a result of the reassessments, but we're also faced with increasing tax exemptions, which are increasing this year by about $750,000. In addition, that's on top of the 1.1 million that we already have in exemptions. So this year that'll put us up about $1.8 million. It was only a few years ago that the exemptions were measured to the tune of about 100,000 to 200,000, and in very short order it's increased from that to 1.8 million. And it doesn't just affect us, it affects everybody in the state. But because we have a very high military presence in the area, and in particular in Poquoson, it has a particularly strong effects on us. So we're balancing that as best we can this year and planning for future years, but we're well aware of that. As you know, we had a joint work session with the school board last Monday, and the superintendent presented his budget to the council as well. That's already been approved by the school board, so we know exactly what the school needs, and it's up to us to do the best we can while maintaining a healthy balance of all of our competing interests to meet those needs. Don't know that we'll be able to do it all in 1 year. We'll do the best we can this year, and we'll follow up next year and the preceding years to address compensation. And number 4, under strategic initiatives, develop and implement a multi-year plan to expand sidewalks and improve pedestrian connectivity across the city. I've already spoken to that. And lastly, additional areas of focus. Leverage the Poquoson as a place brand through expanded placemaking initiatives and aesthetic enhancements that highlight the city's unique character. You've probably seen the video we have on the city website that was developed by a Poquoson native, Angela Ward Costello. She did a stellar job, and that was actually an award-winning presentation that won awards at the national level. So we're grateful to Angela for what she did to help us. It reflects very well on the city. But the Poquoson is the place brand. I'd like to give credit to Superintendent Tillett on this when he said that Poquoson is the place where students can receive a private school education here in Poquoson City Public Schools. So that just supports the theme of this community and focusing on the schools, public safety and well-being as the cornerstones. And number 2, pursue opportunities to enhance public outreach and foster a strong sense of community through engagement and collaborative efforts. We're really focused on that this year as well. Throughout the first 3 months of this year, We've had 6 council meetings, and we've had work sessions at 5 of the 6 council meetings. It requires extra effort on staff. We appreciate that, extra effort by the council as well, but that's what we're here to do, so we're happy to do that. Things like the joint work session with the school board, and if y'all were able to watch that, it was the staff's idea to have us all seated, intermingled at the dais, and optics matter, and what we're trying to project is a spirit of unity and collaboration, and I think that got the desired effect, and we'll continue doing that moving forward. Some other financial statistics I'd like to share with y'all that I think are very pertinent, and these statistics come directly from the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission and their regional economist. We are so fortunate in the region. Poquoson is number 1 in median household income in the region. Second is our neighbor in York County. And if I remember the statistics, they're about $9,500 a year behind us in median household income. So we're so fortunate to be a very affluent community. And these statistics are coming from 2022 and 2023, so they're pretty new. Median household value, we're actually tied for number 2 in the region with York County, James City County being number 1. When it comes to the poverty rate, again, we don't want any poverty at all, and we work to minimize that as best we can, but we're tied with York County for the lowest poverty rates in the region. From the state level, we are number 9 in median household income. The other 8 in the top 10 are all Northern Virginia communities. So here we are on a peninsula in the southeastern part of the state, and we still rank number 9 when it comes to median household income. The only other outlier in the top 10 is New Kent County, and they're undergoing some significant growth right now as well. When it comes to median household value, we're number 23 in the state, and that's out of 132 or so municipalities. So we feel very fortunate. And if we manage this correctly, there's so many great things that we can do for those that we serve, and we're hard at work at that all the time. We value the support of the EDA among the other 13 boards and commissions that we have to populate. But it takes all of us working together, and I think the results speak for themselves. We're grateful for those, and I'll be glad to take some questions if anybody has any.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very good job.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Yes, sir.
I'm a move-in. I know that's a swear word for Poquosonites, but when we first came here in 1998, one of the things that brought us to this area were the schools. We visited 4 or 5 different school districts, Kecoughtan, York, just looking around. And we were accepted more by the schools than we were any other schools. Grafton and Tab, I mean, we felt like outliers. And even though we were move-ins, we were welcomed at the schools, given an opportunity to tour the schools as possible new residents. And one of the things that I thought was interesting was your pitch on the safety. That brings in not only teachers in the past, because it's a safer environment, but also our first responders. It's not uncommon for our police force to have been stolen essentially from other districts because it's a safer community. But for a long time, we've been falling behind, as you said, in the salaries.
Yes, sir.
And teachers are leaving so they can get those 3 years of higher pay elsewhere for their retirement. And so we're losing those teachers that have been well-groomed and in Poquoson and very experienced teachers, and I'm concerned about that. Our sister community here in York County is offering bonuses to teachers, and there's other communities offering bonuses to police officers to transfer in. And I'm not sure how much longer we can bank on safety in the Poquoson community. I mean, I love being able to go to school events and not have to go through metal detectors and empty my pockets. If I go to Woodside or some of the other schools in the area, I've got to empty my pockets and go through metal detectors as a parent, and which is scary. And I appreciate that. I know that we have the ability to do that in our schools, but we don't do it on a regular basis, which also lends to safety because you don't know when you're going to get checked. But I'm just concerned about that aspect, how much longer we can bank on, well, it's a safer community to teach in or to work in. When you're talking $10,000 or $15,000 a year difference in salary for a teacher, that's significant.
Yes, sir.
So and I know being a veteran, but I still pay taxes. I'm not one of the exemptions, but
Yes, sir.
I'm concerned about that as a parent, grandparent. I mean, actually at this point, about how much longer we can bank on that, because if we don't spend the money on education and the students, we're going to end up spending it on jails and judges and an increased police force, which is scary. But I'm glad that Poquoson has invested in the middle school and prior to that the elementary school, and getting the HVAC fixed at the high school is paramount. But I don't know what we can do, but because you can't print more money like some people do. So I don't know what we can do as a community. I know bringing in more businesses would help, but just giving you my 2 cents over here.
Well, I appreciate your 2 cents because it reinforces the theme of what we're pursuing right now, and it underscores it. And coming from somebody such as yourself, that carries a lot of weight, you're in a position of influence in the community. So we appreciate you supporting the course of action that we're pursuing right now. And it's common knowledge we exist as a city because of our school system. And I spoke to this last week as well, and actually did some research to determine if there are any other cities that are like us. And I did not do an exhaustive search, but the searches that I did produced results that said there are no known cities that exist because of their school system. So we're an exception to that. Another search indicated that it is very rare for a city to exist solely because of the school system. But we are most definitely in existence because of our school system. So that'll always be the cornerstone and the foundation that we build on. We're aware of the needs, but the process will have to be incremental. We're not in a position that we can fix it in 1 year as much as we'd like to, but we have to start somewhere. I started last year with a pretty substantial compensation increase. We're going to do the best we can this year, being a reassessment year, and we'll pursue it next year. Of course, we'll start planning for next year as soon as we get the budget finished for this year. So that's where we are. Ray, I really appreciate your comments. It reinforces what we're doing. And when the same comments can come from others besides council members and staff members, that is much appreciated, and we really appreciate the reinforcement as well. So thank you for that, Ray.
Only, I guess it's more of a comment and keep the awareness out there. Obviously, as the EDA, we have the ability to issue bonds, and in the past, the city has leveraged the bond bonding capacity of the EDA. And I know you're still working through the budget process, but as you start to identify the need for that or not, if you identify there's not a need, you certainly can reach out within the bond circles through the attorneys and others to see if others may be interested in our bond capacity should the city not need it. So just planting that seed is
Thank you.
planning within the EDA, and obviously there's a small fee that we get to collect off those if we are successful. Goes out publicly. So.
Well, thank you very much, Chairman Booth. I appreciate the support as always. Can I be of any further assistance this morning?
For joining us, and thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
At this point, we got moved to item B, the zoning amendment for planned unit development. And Wally's here to bring us up to speed.
Thank you. Let's see if my computer's going to come up here. Oh, yeah. Sort of. First of all, for those of y'all who do not know me, I am Charles Horton. I'll go by Wally. I am the Community Development Director, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. Thanks for having me. And we will get underway here as soon as I figure out what's going on back there. Okay.
While we're waiting for the screen to come up, the reason why we've got Wally here today is, as you noticed from the mayor speaking about the vision, one of the goals of the city council is to look at Northside and see how we can protect Northside going forward. And since it owns the big woods across the street there, we felt it was important that Wally present the changes that are coming forth to city council on April 14th.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. Let me start from the start. As Mr. Hux, Mayor Hux said, the City Council has been quite busy in terms of looking at the future of Poquoson and what the vision is. The City Council at its January 27th, 2025 meeting initiated a resolution to amend and eliminate sections of the City of Poquoson Code of Ordinances to include Article 8.4, Planned Unit Development, Mixed Use Overlay District, as found in Appendix A zoning and all references here too. When you think of a planned unit development, you're probably thinking of something like Legacy. That's really the planned unit development that's been initiated in the city of Poquoson. And I'll get to a map here in just a minute. But the effect of these amendments, the amendment will eliminate the ability to apply for mixed-use planned unit development, which is currently subject to Planning Commission recommendation and City Council approval. So even today, you would have to have approval of City Council to initiate one of these. But this change would eliminate that possibility. The amendment will not change the underlying zoning district of any affected property. In other words, this is an overlay. The base zoning, which north of Victory is research and development and general commercial, some of which are EDA properties, and south is maybe a little bit of research and development, but mostly village commercial, if I can spit that out. The legacy development, as I said a minute ago, and properties within is not affected since it was initiated before January 27, 2025 as the planned unit development mixed use overlay district. So we will still continue to deal with legacy as it continues to build out, which is hopefully in the next year or so. I'm not going to attempt to speak to the vision statement better than Mayor Hux already has, but I just want to point out that initiative number one, as he pointed out, is to conduct a careful review of the city's comprehensive plan and supporting ordinances prioritizing the north side of Victory Boulevard, followed by an evaluation of the city's central business district. That's important to mention because the city council does intend to do a careful study of the north part of Victory Boulevard, with staff support, of course. As you will see in the slide, upcoming, there's actually some cross-hatched area south of Victory Boulevard as well. What I've attempted to do here, and I don't have a pointer with me, I don't think, but the cross-hatched area is the area where the mixed-use overlay district is. The sort of bolded area in the middle there is the legacy development. As I said, the legacy development is not affected by this necessarily, but certainly expansion of the legacy development would, as well as all the properties to the south of Victory that are primarily zoned village commercial, a little bit of residential in the back, and the parcels north of Victory Boulevard. Like I said, the underlying zoning districts are R&D and general commercial. So it's a fairly expansive area, but I think you can also see by the legacy development, a good amount of that has already been taken up with a planned unit development. Several things we're going to have to do to the zoning ordinance to get it into alignment with this amendment if approved. We'll have to redefine our definition of the zoning district, overlay zoning district. We'll have 5 overlay districts instead of 6 if this amendment is approved. Again, in section 111, which really outlays all of our zoning districts as well as our overlay zoning districts, we'll have 5 overlay districts instead of 6. The elimination of the PUD, MU, Planned Unit Development, Mixed Use Overlay District, you see at the bottom there crossed out. Purpose intent, basically we just get rid of all references to the PUD, MU. Like in this particular section, we'll get rid of and Planned Unit Development, Mixed Use in the second line there. Again, you can think of it as housekeeping or amendments. We're treating it as amendments, but we're going to get rid of all references to Article 8.4. You see there in the second paragraph, first and second line. And continuing on with that, at the very last, we will get rid of the reference to 8.4-10, which again is part of the mixed-use overlay district. Permitted locations, the only district we'll have left after we get rid of mixed use that could be thought of as an overlay district or mixed use would be a waterfront mixed use development. Currently, we don't have an overlay district in our ordinance that really designates that, but this is where we basically say that we're not going to, this is not going to affect the legacy development. Amendments to existing PUD MU developments initiated on or before January 27, 2025, and PUDW planned development districts. The legacy development was initiated way back on October 24th, 2018, so they definitely beat this deadline by quite a bit. Here's just another map of the mixed-use zoning district for a refresher. And we will eliminate all of Article 8.4, Planned Unit Development Mixed-Use Overlay District. That's as complicated and as simple as it can be, but I'll be happy to take any questions you might have.
Questions for Wally? this is more a comment, I think, than a question. I guess having been around involved with the EDA now for quite some time and seeing the comprehensive plan reviewed maybe a couple times within that time frame that I've been involved.
Sure.
The R&D district, as it's been defined, seems to be kind of what is it really trying to attract? What does it involve? What does it restrict? I know clearly definitions. I'm not trying to get into that lane.
No,
of the
I
zoning
understand where you're
ordinance.
going.
However, Victory Boulevard is very much a commercial entrance into the city.
Yes.
Even with the mixed-use development that was approved with Legacy, there very much is a couple of commercial parcels that are identified there along
Right.
corridor, and so hopefully with the revisiting of the north side parcels, the comprehensive plan, there could be some consideration of really what is R&D as a district, and
Sure.
is that more of an overlay than it is an actual zoning district?
Well, R&D is a base zoning district, and I'm sure that as we get to studying the city council and then down to staff, that'll be one thing that's looked at. But as far as the nuances of all of that, it would be premature for me to say, and really up to conversations with city council in the future.
I just plant the seed as there's been considerable conversation over the past 10 years as to what's envisioned, what it could or couldn't entail, and
Right, and I think your point is well taken. I think we all recognize that R&D is a district where, for lack of a better term, not much is going on. So.
okay. Any other comments or questions? Thank you for keeping us in the loop, and
Well, thank you
I'm not
for
hearing
having
any
me.
asks of
And-
the EDA at this point.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to point out one thing that I forgot to say at first. We're sort of halfway through this process. The Planning Commission has recommended approval, 6-0, and it goes to City Council on April the 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, thank you. Moving down our agenda, we have Stark Peninsula MOU. Tanya, would you?
Absolutely. Just late Friday, I was reached out by the City of Hampton's Economic Development Authority. They were surprised to hear of Dave Callis's passing, and so they reached out to me to make sure that the City of Poquoson Economic Development Authority was still interested in partaking in Stark Peninsula. So I did a little research between Friday and today to bring to you that we have participated since 2016. Ironically, the funding has come from the general fund, so therefore it does not exist currently in the Economic Development Authority side of the house. However, the Economic Development Authority is the one that approves the MOU to agree to be part of Stark Peninsula. And Stark Peninsula is basically for entrepreneurs that are trying to start a business. It helps them with their pitch. They have 4 sessions to let people come forward, bring pitches. In the top 3 from each of those 4 sessions go on to a final pitch, where ultimately they can receive seed money to grow their business. Our portion is $1,246. So I'm just asking the board for approval to have the chairperson agree to the MOU, so City of Hampton's Economic Development Authority can move forward with that process. $1,246, and that's basic for the administrative side of the house.
And then whoever gets selected, the pitch.
They receive $5,000, I believe. There's 3 winners that receive $5,000 for growth money. There's other winners that receive like $500 for their efforts.
But it has nothing to do with where they locate their business.
It has nowhere to do, so long as they're part of City of Hampton, Williamsburg, Poquoson, York County, and James City County, if their business is when they will receive that money.
How long has this existed?
This has existed since 2016. I went back and did a little bit of research. It seems like our former secretary, she just provided like a one sentence about Stark Peninsula and kind of earmarked us to the website to research. So part of my goal is to bring back more information as we do this, as i.e. when they offer the pitch, how many are Poquoson residents, entrepreneurs, how many may be City of Hampton, how many may be Williamsburg, just so we get an understanding of what really benefits the City of Poquoson and the businesses that are trying to start.
I haven't had a chance to go through this all, but
Yes.
if it's been existing since 2016, how many Poquoson businesses have,
Received.
well, not just received, but entered into this process? Because if they don't enter in the process, they can't win. But the whole point is that if Poquoson businesses aren't getting into this, why are we getting into it?
I agree.
Or why are we staying into it, I guess? So
I was not able to find any research where I have found in the past year, which was 2024, where any Poquoson entrepreneurs entered into the micro pitch and finally into the final pitch. But I will go back and do some more research as it relates to that. You're correct. You had not received this information prior to review that, so my apologies. I received it late Friday.
yeah, well, I understand. I guess it's almost the last page, or is the last page, where it, November 6, 2024, final pitch competition, and it lists the businesses and the amount, but none of those, I don't even recognize any of them, let alone anything from Poquoson.
Many of them may be startups that
Right, no, I
aren't even
understand,
incorporated, so the question would be is who's the back behind it trying to start it, and are there any citizens who have taken advantage of the program?
I also think it starts with our website. We need to start doing a better job of making sure our community's aware of this availability.
Well, it goes back to the same thing that we had a problem with the COVID, using the easy personal term, the COVID money that we had, where we were providing that opportunity, and some people just didn't hear of it. And if Dave Callis and his team hadn't gone out and talked to every person licensed in Poquoson, we never would have spent the money. So, I mean, I guess it's the same thing, but
Absolutely.
it's phenomenal. This is the first I've heard of this, but I'm old, so.
Well, as you'll see, we have another topic. I don't want to jump ahead of our chairman, but again, this is one of the things that I'm going to continue on old business to bring back to the board. That way we can keep in the loop of what's going on and see how we can change things, i.e. staff can do better to make sure our community is aware of these opportunities that exist.
So if I understand the ask at this point, is this a current fiscal year ask, or is this a fiscal year 26?
This is a ask for 26 and the 4 years after 26. And ironically, the money exists in the general fund currently, and it will be presented to City Council through the City Manager's budget. That will be done on April 14th as well. So the ask of the EDA at this point is to allow the chairman to enter into an MOU, and then again, it will be staff's task to bring back additional information, so y'all are better prepared in the future when we talk about entering into an.
Chairman, I need to leave for a medical appointment. May I be?
Absolutely. Thank you. Any comments, additional comments, questions? Is there a motion to allow for review of the MOU and execution pending?
This is for review, but not spending money.
At this juncture, the money does not exist in the economic development's budget, so it does exist in the general fund. So the money is available for spending. After speaking with the City of Hampton's Economic Development Authority, they request us to participate. It makes for good partnership throughout the locality. This will give us 5 years to research it. We can put them on notice that if we find that, we do not have entrepreneurs that exist in the city of Poquoson, it might be something that we can at least let them know ahead of time that we're not willing to participate.
I'm a little slow. So when you say the money, general fund, are we talking about from the state or is it Poquoson's money ultimately?
Ultimately, Poquoson's money that gets spent.
Because ultimately, I'm probably going to not be supporting this, but whatever we have to do is
Absolutely. This is similar like the Hampton Roads Alliance.
exactly.
Right.
Which I'm
Which I
I knew that was coming.
I knew where he was heading, so I went ahead and put it out there.
Good. So you're way ahead of me today.
Motion for approval? Obviously, approval of the city council's budget.
I say, so moved.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Vote for that?
Director Ionello?
Yes.
Director Joyce?
Yes.
Director Derby?
Yes.
Director Meeks?
Yes.
And Chairman Booth?
Yes.
Chairman, their motion carried by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. That moves us to old business. First item, wetland delineation update.
After talking to Bob Kerr with Wetland Studies and Solutions, he feels it's a good opportunity for us to go ahead and submit the findings. So with the board's consideration, if we could have the approval for the chairman to sign off on that. I did ask for one minor change. They still had Dave Callis as the main contact, so I've asked them to update that information. So with that, we're ready to submit the findings and see what comes back. And crossing our fingers, it comes back to where we think it needs to be.
And just for clarification, this is submission to the state approval agency, Department of Environmental Quality, which we're going to go through that channel of approvals first, and then the Corps is the second step of that, following hopeful acceptance and approval through the state.
You'll recall the findings showed that the ditches are jurisdictional. It has a little bit of wetland on the back parcel, but does not exist like they initially thought on the front parcel.
It's provided it's not raining.
Very true.
So sounds like we need a motion.
Make a motion, we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a-
Director Ionello?
Yes.
Director Joyce?
Yes.
Director Derby?
Yes.
Director Meeks?
Yes.
And Chairman Booth?
Yes.
Chairman, the motion carried by 5-0.
Thank you. And our final item is our EDA budget under old business.
Again, I'm leaving this as an outstanding item. I heard Director Metz as it relates to the Hampton Roads Alliance. So I'm going to bring back forward additional information to either A, support why we should, or B, to support why we shouldn't go forward in the future with supporting those additional partnerships.
Any questions or comments at this time?
In general?
Specifically to the EDA budget, but we can move to general. So hearing none, then yes.
I'm glad the mayor's here. I understand that there was a issue with extending the road in front of the city hall out to Whiff Creek, and there was some property ownership issues. The EDA has property behind City Hall. Was there any way, I'm not sure which one was not positive about extending the road, and if there's any way that the EDA property could be swapped out in the sense of providing access to that road, or has it been solved? Because we do have the back property in the back, and I'm not sure if it abuts the owner of the property that was in question. I have no idea, but
If you like, I can take that one on behalf of the mayor. So in question is, there's 3 parcels that are, they're hurdles to have the connection from City Hall Avenue to With Creek Road. One of the property owners is the property we're talking about with the gun range. Then there's 2 others, one being Bob Moses, who's given his go-ahead that he absolutely supports the connection, and then there's a property in between that we have not spoken to or not given the approval. There is a private right-of-way called Williana Road that allows those 3 property access over there to With Creek Road or to Beta Street per se, and Alpha Street. So at this point, the properties that the EDA, yes, if that property owner in the middle is interested, we can definitely offer that. But my understanding, that property owner is not interested in doing anything at this time. So therefore, we need that one property owner to agree to wanting the connection, and we can move forward in putting that in.
I was just looking at, is there anything that we could do as an EDA to enhance that, because nobody likes to lose property, or of course the other option is we just increase the taxes on them, and then no, I'm just kidding.
So yes, if we can get that one property owner, my understanding, to allow for that Williana Road to become a public right-of-way, we can then put the connection to then abut Alpha Street all the way through With Creek Road.
Yeah, I'm concerned though, because we talked about safety. Just yesterday, I had somebody riding a bike on Victory Boulevard from Legacy of Poquoson, and the person was, even though there's a pretty good shoulder there, I was concerned, and the car in front of me actually went into the other lane to get around him, and this access road will provide a very large part of Poquoson now access in a safer environment. I hate seeing kids or people getting hit by cars, riding bikes or walking because we don't have the sidewalks or a safe environment. So I was just concerned about that.
Well, one of our residents that actually owns property that abuts With Creek but doesn't abut the property that we're talking about with Williana Road, did speak about how one option, which the city has not done in many years, and he should know he was a city attorney as well as a Commonwealth attorney for many years, but eminent domain. That's one thing that is an option for city council. They tend not to like going down that path. But again, as we move through the process, when it comes to the Ralph's property, that may be something in the future for consideration.
Yeah, I know I saw on the website a lot of people, or 1 or 2 people, complaining about eminent domain for this issue, saying you can't be taking property away from people, and it's like, okay, there's got to be alternatives to that, and that's the reason why I bring that up. Maybe just a sidewalk would be good, but I'd rather have the road there.
Well, as soon as we get the right-of-way, we'll definitely do
Okay.
whatever public infrastructure that city council approves. But unfortunately, right now, with Williana Road being a private easement, we don't have the ability.
Okay.
I think our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 6th, normal time, and I think that we can adjourn. Thank you.